What's up, guys? It's your boy JP and David back at it again with another Bros Before Shows episode. What episode is this again?
This is episode 7.
Alright, so we're at The Last of Us episode 7.
That's right.
And there's only 2 episodes left.
2.
I'm excited for the episode 8 because, you know, the second to last episode is always like the most epic one.
Yeah.
And then the finale. I guess I got just so into like Game of Thrones, where it's always like the second to last episode of the season is always the best one, and then the finale episode is really good but not the best.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to see what episode 8 brings in. I didn't watch any of the trailers or like the next stuff because I know they had that at the end of each episode. They gave you a preview of the next one. Did you watch it?
I did. I'm sorry. I can't help myself. I'm weak.
I know. Do you even lift, bro?
I'm sore right now because I did leg day on Sunday. Before we started, guys, as always, this is sponsored by Organic Prize Books. If you want to get the latest and greatest graphic novels, comic books, statues, check out Organic Prize Books. Shout out to those guys. They're the best.
Exactly.
Hey.
All right, so let's get started into episode 7.
All right, so episode 7, titled "Left Behind," starts off with Ellie, just frantically looking for something in the house, and we see Joel on the floor. She's trying to see what she can do for him, but Joel, I guess he's kind of like giving up. He's like, "You need to go. You need to leave.
Yeah,
go back to Tommy. He can help you." So Joel's kind of like done.
Like, there's no way he can move, and he doesn't know that if she has any survival skills, because he still thinks of her as a kid.
Yeah,
so it's like, you got to go find help before I die, because there's no way to saving him if you don't know how to save him.
Exactly, and this was a good setup for her because we really haven't gotten a lot of her backstory. We've gotten a lot of Joel's and just kind of his character development. So now we get to see this whole episode was Ellie's backstory.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of shows her what she's gone through and the loss that she's felt because he's asked her before, and she kind of not brushed it off. Yeah, just kind of didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah, exactly.
So she's seeing him he's dying basically, and this is the person that she, I guess, right now is most connected to. So she's doing whatever she can, and she's looking around the house, and then it flashes back with her life in, I guess how she started off in Firma. Firma's the name of it. Ferda. Yeah, Fedra.
There we go. Fedra.
Yeah. So basically, her, her life living with Fedra, and I guess she was part of the group that was set to be officers for Fedra. Uh-huh. They were gonna basically take over the roles. So it gives you kind of a hint of how their system works, which is they got people that really young kids or teenagers. They started training them. Making sure that they were physically fit and set to take on the responsibilities to become officers, because that's what she fights this bully that takes her music, and the guy who I guess the principal tells her, do you want to get kicked out basically, or do you want to become an officer? And he gives her that choice, and she decides to become an officer. So you kind of see a little bit of just how their system works in the sense of getting people to come in. It's they get them young, so that way they grow up like that. But then on there you kind of find out that she had a roommate who disappeared or who ran away a couple of weeks ago probably.
Yeah.
And she comes back through the window, and it's her friend. What was her name? Her friend's name? It was Riley. Yeah.
Yeah. And quick, if you ever watch Euphoria, I was like, man, I'm glad to see that actor not cry all the time. Because when you watch Euphoria, all of her scenes are sad crying scenes. There's no happy scenes.
Her sister's making cereal. Why are you doing that?
Yeah, exactly. So it's extremely emotional crying scenes. So it's a kind of a breath of fresh air. Seeing her in a different role that's not sad in Euphoria.
yeah, for sure. So if you don't know, in Euphoria, she plays the younger sister of the main character by Zendaya. So she's always Mom, she hit me. Mom, she's on drugs.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is.
Anyway, so she comes back, and she just kind of takes Ellie out. She's like, we're gonna get ready for the best night of your life. She takes her, And she doesn't really. They don't really give up a reason why until later on. And I guess she joined the Fireflies during her time that she had ran away.
Yeah.
And she kind of reveals that she basically was going to leave, and she wanted to spend this last night with Ellie before she got sent out to another post with the Fireflies. And they go into the mall. They run through the roofs and they go through the mall.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, nobody's gonna see the light turn on from the mall. There's no way. There's no way.
What bothered me the most during those scenes, those early scenes, was like, you're in a constant a camp basically. Like the walls are thin, so she snuck through the window. They already knocked on Ellie's door, say turn off the lights. They already knew her lights were on. So when Riley came in there, she turned the light again. I was like, why you had the light on? And they were basically talking like normal voice instead of whispering. Like even you snuck back in, like you're supposed to be asleep, so definitely the people would know that you're awake.
Yeah, they would have heard you.
Yeah, and then they just and then they walk around the street like no big deal, full on like normal talking voice instead of whispering. So those are the small things that really bother me. Like you're supposed to be sneaking around like Assassin's Creed style, but when you're doing stuff like that, it's like it takes away from that sneakiness. Like okay, they're just gonna be talking normally, just walking around stuff like that. No big deal.
Yeah, and then tell me when was the last time you saw a mall in the middle of the city like that you could reach from the rooftops? Most malls have like huge parking lots around it,
Yeah.
So you would see it light up especially if she turned it on and like you saw that the mall had like those skylights. Yeah. They would have seen that from like 3 miles away.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's suspend that. Cool. They go into the mall and I guess Ellie had never been there, so she kind of gets to experience life with or how life used to be, because she even showed, she even says, oh, what did they use these stores for? Why would they have lingerie? And there was a really funny scene there where Riley turns to Ellie and she starts laughing and she's like, I'm trying to imagine you wearing that. I was like, you're already trying to imagine Ellie in lingerie? You're already into her far. That's...
Yeah. Yeah.
But they make a very good point. Like, if you go to a mall, especially at the end of the world, that stuff is just going to be left there.
It's like sneakers and the lingerie and whatever. That was funny.
Yeah. And then, she takes her to the carousel. And how would, that thing is probably super loud. I'm surprised that more, more infected didn't come after her immediately when the carousel was going.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they do the arcade. And that's kind of where they show you that an infected in the back rooms.
That kind of looked like a Stranger Things introduction when they were just panning around.
Yes, you know what? It did give that vibe.
I was like, man, this feels like a very Stranger Things type of episode. And what I like about it, when they brought to the arcade, I remember when her and Joel were walking around, they found like an arcade. Like, whoa, this is so cool.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, okay, so this is how she learned how to play arcade games. So that ties in with episode 1, 2, or whatever.
Yeah. And then she had posters of Mortal Kombat, and I guess it's funny because Mortal Kombat is such an old game.
Yeah.
Even now.
So
I'm just thinking to myself, so you're telling me especially with electronics like that, it's been sitting in the mall for years that rats didn't shoot through those cables. Everything turned on automatically. Yeah. And give me a little bit of maybe 2-3 machines turned on, not all of them,
Yeah.
I was like, okay, whatever. But again, it's moving the story along for Ellie. She kind of, after she finds out that she's leaving, that Riley's leaving, she kind of gets mad, leaves, but then decides to come back and she hears screaming, and then I guess Riley, they went to a Halloween store.
Yeah, she found out because she saw what was it, pipe bombs or little tiny bombs?
Yeah.
Okay.
She was making pipe bombs.
Okay.
And that's when Riley tells her, "Oh, I'm leaving," with Fireflies, and they said you couldn't go. So she kind of was trying to recruit her, but not really.
Yeah.
And
they're just supposed to run away together.
Yeah. And then at the end, when Ellie comes back, she tells her, "Can you please not leave?" After they've been, and then Riley, says yes, she won't leave, and then at that point, they get attacked by the infected.
Yeah.
And they fight it off. As best as they could to teenage girls. Yeah. I'm just wondering how strong these infected are if they've been laying for so long.
Exactly. And then what got me was so they were liking each other a lot. You can see the eye glance and stuff like that getting closer.
Yeah.
And as soon as they kissed, I was like, oh, she's dead. She's dead. Because like whenever you see like a good happy scene, like oh we'll figure it out, the two they're gonna be like a couple now and stuff like that. It's like a very touching moment.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, you can't be doing this. So I was like, she's instantly dead.
Yeah. So, it really is for the benefit of us, the viewers, just to see what Ellie's going through and especially right now with Joel. Because she hasn't told any of this to Joel. Joel doesn't know any of this.
Yeah.
And then, unfortunately, they both they kill the infected, but they both get bit.
Yeah. And
I like how Ellie just like goes crazy and she's smashing stuff and Riley's just sitting there quiet.
Yeah.
So it's like
she's taken from Euphoria.
Yeah.
That's exactly what she did in Euphoria. Sit in the corner and cry.
Yeah. It would have been my sister acted like that all the time.
Stop. That's very true.
So then they kind of Riley in a sense I think more accepts her fate. And she tells her, no matter how much little time you have left, it's good to fight for it.
Uh-huh.
And it doesn't tell you what happens after that.
Yeah. Because
that's not another interesting part I wanted to see is how she found out that she was not infected, and how that led to her, I'm just trying to wrap my head around. Let's say you find out your your girlfriend that you just kid dies.
Yeah.
Turns into infected. Let's say you have to kill her, and you're waiting to turn. Yeah. How long do you wait before you're like, okay, nothing's happening to me?
Yeah.
Where do you go from there? You really can't go back home.
Yeah, exactly.
And we know that she ends up with the Fireflies, but how did she convince anybody to trust her after they saw a bite?
So maybe she was waiting there because it was a Firefly post. She was waiting there for Marlene or somebody to show up.
Oh, what? You're right.
Because there's no way she could go back, so she's gonna wait because that is a Firefly post. So she probably was waiting for them to come back. What I'm thinking is,
it makes very good sense.
When Joe asked her, "Have you ever killed anybody before? Have you ever shot a gun?" She said, "Yes, I have." I'm assuming she killed her best friend with that gun, and that's how she was able to shoot a gun. Because when you watched her shoot the guy at the gas station that was choking Joel to death, it was like her use. It was looking like her using the gun for the very first time.
Yeah.
So I believe what I'm assuming is she shot her best friend with that gun, and then she still doesn't know how to use a gun because that was the only time she ever shot one and killed somebody.
That's very good insight. I didn't think about that.
Uh-huh.
Very cool. Of course they don't show that. They kind of just leave it off, and then she finds a needle and thread, and she goes back to Joel, and it shows her sewing him up. So that's kind of how the episode ends.
Uh-huh.
Now personally, I think out of all the episodes, this was probably one of the weakest ones.
Yeah.
I like getting Ellie's backstory, but I felt like
it didn't need to take the entire episode.
It did not. It really did not. Joel's backstory took 10 minutes from the first episode.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And you kind of got a feeling for him, and I kind of wish Ellie's would have moved along quicker, so we can continue the story of them now.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just I mean, personal opinion. That's me. That this is the weakest episode of the whole season, I would say. What do you think, JP?
I thought it was a pretty solid episode itself.
Yeah,
it's still one of those episodes. I was like, okay, cool. I don't mind watching it, but I don't know. It's kind of like I feel like it's on par with the Bill and Frank one.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Okay.
Because they're both tying a relationship together, but the Bill and Frank one did not mean much to the story itself because they're both dead.
Okay.
Right. But the Ellie and Riley story, it brought purpose to Ellie. So I feel like it gave Ellie more character, more where she's coming from, why you could understand her personalities and stuff like that.
Okay.
That Bill and Frank one did not really. It didn't bring any character development to anybody.
You're right. It was more like world building just to see how people survived. But...
Yeah, it was world building.
Okay.
So I feel like this episode still develops the character of Ellie, but that Franken one, it's just a one-off. You understand the world and how Joel knew where to go and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but it didn't really develop any character like how this episode did.
That's what I admire your opinion. That's great. Now I'm not saying it wasn't a good episode. It's still great. I still liked it.
Yeah.
I just felt like out of all of them, it was probably one of the weaker ones.
Yeah, I just say it's needed to understand where Ellie's coming from.
Yes. Okay. You know what? I respect your decision, your opinion, JP. I just felt like it should have been lower. Her part should have been shorter.
It could have been shorter. Yeah. I give you that. It could have been shorter, but if you never had the episode to begin with, then you really wouldn't understand where Ellie's coming from.
Yeah.
If they could condense it, that'd be great. But I don't know if it will impact as much as it did if they didn't condense it.
Yeah. All right. But yeah, overall it was a good episode. Let's say out of 1 through 5 or to 10, I would give it like a solid 8. Yeah, and that's still even good, 'cause I think the lowest one I ever gave was the first one of the Kansas City, which was like also like an 8.59.
Yeah. I'll give this one a solid 8 too.
Yeah.
There's stuff I'm like, man, this don't make sense. You're talking normal while you're walking outside trying to sneak around and stuff like that. Turn the mall. Yeah. Still a solid 8. I believe every episode so far is 8 and above. There hasn't been one where I'm like, man, this episode really sucked.
Yeah. Again, it moves the story along. It gives more depth to the characters, especially for Ellie. Now that we got to see her suffering that she had to go through with her best friend and her love interest at the moment.
Yep.
And it kind of puts out a new light for us as the viewer. Of course, Joel doesn't know this yet. So, I wonder if there's going to be an interaction where they talk about this. But for the most part, it moved her story along well, and you kind of sympathize with what she's going through, especially now that she basically has to take care of Joel, that he's basically incapacitated.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be fun to see where it goes to. There's 2 episodes left, guys. So, if you've been watching it, we're going to see how it's going to end for the season. It looks like it's going to be about halfway through the game. If you play the game, it'll be like halfway through The Last of Us, so it won't like complete the game. It might take 2, maybe 3 seasons to finish what the first game is.
Yeah.
So that's actually interesting. That's great for us.
So it could be like a 6-season thing.
Yeah. I don't know if they're gonna finish it. I know there's only The Last of Us 2. I don't know if they're gonna just finish it with that, or they're gonna do what Game of Thrones did. They're gonna make their own story past that. So we're gonna have to see.
You can have spin-off things with like how the Firefly is going to be, how Frasier can be, and stuff like that. So there's a lot of potential. In the Last of Us world.
Yeah.
So really excited to see what the last 2 episodes going to be, how they're going to expand the world if they do. I'm pretty sure they're going to milk it for as much as they can. just look at The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
They did 10, 11 seasons on top of Fear the Walking Dead and Beyond the Walking Dead and like 3 other spin-off shows.
Yeah. Now that we're getting 3 spin-off shows, bro.
Yeah, but HBO is different. They they do have quality content.
Yeah.
I know HBO is a great service, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, that's true. So let us know what you guys think. If you liked the episode, what you didn't like, any sort of opinions that you have, leave a comment down below. Check us out again on Spotify. What is it? Audio or Amazon
Spotify,
Music?
Apple Podcasts, Amazon, YouTube, where it
YouTube,
is, where you watch your streaming service. Let us know in the comments down below, and we'll see you guys in the next video.